10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Plus 5 seconds.
Lift off normal.
P1 tracking.
P3 tracking.
Magnificent lift-off of PSLV C-57 with Aditya L1 on board.
Plus 15 seconds.
PSLV C-57 का सफल उत्थापन और इसके साथ
20 seconds.
प्रथम भारतीय सौर अंतरिक्ष यान निकल चुका है सूर्य के
Plus
तेज से
25
विज्ञान को प्रकाश करने।
Air lead strap on ignited.
इसके साथ ही
Plus
एक और
30
कदम
seconds.
है अंतर्ग्रहीय सफर में भारत की उपस्थिति सिद्ध करने का। आप देख रहे हैं PSLV C-57 प्रथम चरण पूरी तरह सामान्य।
The rocket flying forth, following nominal trajectory and developing nominal thrust. The bright fumes against a clear midday sky.
One is in main up top.
A rocket launch is more than just a sight to behold.
First
The
stage
roaring sound
performance
and the
normal.
vibrations that we can feel
First
here,
stage in main
adding
auto.
to this, the thrill are just amazing. Ground lit and air lit strap-ons operating together with the first stage S-139.
Ground lead strap on separated.
जैसा कि निर्धारित है ग्राउंड लेड स्ट्रैप ऑन को सेपरेट कर दिया गया है
Performance normal.
और प्रथम चरण का निष्पादन सामान्य है। इस घटनाक्रम में अगला एयर लेड स्ट्रैप ऑन को यान से पृथक कर दिया जाएगा।
Air lead strap on separated.
जी हाँ, इसकी भी पुष्टि हो गई है। स्ट्रैप ऑन को सफलतापूर्वक पृथक कर दिया गया है।
We are 100 seconds past the launch time. The ground lit and air lit strap-ons have been separated. S-139 motor still thrusting.
S-139 110 सेकंड के प्रज्वलन काल के पश्चात उसे भी पृथक कर दिया गया है।
Plus 2 minutes.
द्वितीय चरण जो कि तरल नोदक पर आधारित चरण है, इसका प्रज्वलन शुरू हो चुका है और वर्तमान में प्रणोद उत्पन्न कर रहा है।
Performance normal.
The launch vehicle is at an altitude of 73 kilometers. First stage has been separated. Second stage has begun its operation and the closed loop guidance has been initiated. According to the announcement by Range Operations Director, PS2 is developing nominal thrust.
PS2 41 टन के तरल नोदक पर आधारित चरण है। इसमें विकास इंजन द्वारा 800 किलो न्यूटन का प्रणोद उत्पन्न होता है और इसका प्रज्वलन काल लगभग 150 सेकंड का होगा।
Shar and Port Blair tracking stations presently acquiring signals. Flight path closely matching the prediction.
Plus 3 minutes.
वर्तमान में यान क्लोज लूप गाइडेंस के अंतर्गत है।
Second stage performance normal.
यान की ऊंचाई 106 किलोमीटर तथा सापेक्ष गति 3 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड।
The velocity addition in PS2 regime is going to be from 2 kilometers per second to 4.9 kilometers per second.
Payload fairing separated.
The payload fairing covering the Aditya L1 spacecraft has been separated. The current altitude of the launch vehicle is 118 kilometers. Relative velocity exceeding 3.8 kilometers per second.
जी हाँ, यान अब घने वातावरण से बाहर जा चुका है, इसलिए ऊष्मा कवच की जरूरत नहीं रह जाती है और इस कारण इसे
Plus
यान
4
से
minutes.
पृथक कर दिया जाता है।
Second stage performance normal.
द्वितीय चरण वर्तमान में प्रणोद उत्पन्न करता हुआ और यान पूरी तरह सामान्य प्रदर्शन करता हुआ अपने अनुमानित पथ की ओर बढ़ रहा है।
Second stage separated. Third stage ignited.
द्वितीय चरण को भी सफलतापूर्वक यान से पृथक कर दिया गया है उसके प्रज्वलन
Third stage
काल समाप्त होने पर।
performance normal.
और तृतीय चरण जो कि ठोस नोदक पर आधारित चरण है, इसका प्रज्वलन शुरू हो चुका है।
We are close to 5 minutes past the launch time. Presently, the third stage of PSLV is operational, developing nominal thrust.
Plus 5 minutes.
तृतीय चरण में 7.6 टन के ठोस नोदक का प्रयोग होता है और इसका प्रज्वलन काल 117.7 सेकंड का होगा। इस दौरान यह 240 किलो न्यूटन का प्रणोद उत्पन्न करेगा। वर्तमान में यान की ऊंचाई 134 किलोमीटर तथा सापेक्ष गति 5.96 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड। जैसा कि हम जानते हैं पीएसएलवी सबसे विश्वसनीय रॉकेट रहा है इसरो का, वैसा ही प्रदर्शन करता हुआ एक और मिशन पीएसएलवी C57 का।
For the present mission, after PS3 completes
Plus
its
6
burn
minutes.
duration, a coast phase of 200 seconds will follow, in which the rocket will continue to be steered while there is no development of thrust.
जी हाँ, अभी कुछ ही क्षणों में
Third
PS3
stage
का
action completed.
प्रज्वलन काल समाप्त हो चुका है और कोस्टिंग फेज इसके बाद जारी रहेगा।
Vehicle in combined hosting for approximately 200 seconds.
Unique to this mission, the
Vehicle
PS4
performance normal.
will start twice at pre-designated times
Plus
and
7
duration.
minutes.
The multiple start capability of PS4 will be utilized very aptly to achieve the argument of perigee of 346.6 degrees, which is very crucial for this mission. The commencement and duration of PS4 burns enable achieving this orbital parameter. Argument of perigee is the angle that is made by the perigee point from the ascending node at equatorial plane. AOP exceeding 300 degrees is helpful in mission planning to achieve halo orbit around L1 with minimal propellant expenditure.
सभी वैज्ञानिक गहनता से अध्ययन करते हुए इन आंकड़ों का, जो कि ग्राउंड स्टेशन द्वारा प्रसारित किए जा रहे हैं। वर्तमान में PS3 PS4 कंबाइंड कोस्टिंग फेज जारी है। यान की ऊंचाई 170 किलोमीटर तथा सापेक्ष गति 7.32 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड है।
Vehicle performance normal.
Plus 9 minutes.
Speaking a few words about the Aditya L1, describing the sun, Indian Vedas have said, Yesha Bhagavan Manirakasha Mandalasya Chakravarti Khechara Chakrasya Deepako Brahmanda Bhandasya Asayeva Charkarti Bharvati Jarhati Jagat. This mighty jewel, the light of eastern sky, who generates, operates and destroys the universe, while the energy of sun, after having filtered by the atmosphere, is available for the sustenance of earth. The explosive phenomena in sun and the solar flares are a cause for concern to the spacecraft and human space missions. The vantage point for such observations is a place in between the sun and earth.
Third stage separated.
Now we have a successful separation event of the third stage of
Separated
PSLV.
hosting, it is approximately 900 seconds.
plus 10 minutes.
जी हाँ, तृतीय चरण को सफलतापूर्वक
Still
पृथक कर दिया
performance
गया है
normal.
और अब PS4 कोस्टिंग फेज पर है। इस दौरान कोई भी प्रणोद उत्पन्न नहीं हो रहा है। यान प्राप्त संवेग से आगे बढ़ता हुआ और निर्धारित पथ का अनुकरण करता हुआ जा रहा है।
We are 627 seconds from the launch. For another 600 more seconds or so, we will be getting tracking data from the BIAX ground station.
यह कोस्टिंग फेज लगभग 900 सेकंड का होगा। इस दौरान हम आपको कुछ जानकारी देते हैं। लैग्रेंज पॉइंट से जुड़ी कुछ रोचक तथ्य भी हैं, जैसे कि इस पॉइंट का नाम एक इटालियन फ्रेंच गणितज्ञ जोसेफ लुइग लैग्रेंज के सम्मान में रखा गया था। उन्होंने 1972 में इसे अपनी तकनीकी प्रपत्र जनरल 3 बॉडी प्रॉब्लम में वर्णित किया है, लेकिन इससे पहले भी 3 पॉइंट L1, L2 और L3 को खोजने का श्रेय स्विस गणितज्ञ लियोनार्ड आयलर को जाता है। L1 पॉइंट पर नासा ने पहले ही सोलर एंड हेलियोस्फेरिक ऑब्जर्वेटरी सोहो को पहुंचा चुका है और विश्व प्रसिद्ध जेम्स वेब टेलीस्कोप को L2 लैग्रेंज पॉइंट पर स्थापित किया गया है। L1 की पृथ्वी से सूर्य की दिशा में दूरी लगभग 15 लाख किलोमीटर है और इसे हम एस्ट्रोनॉमिकल यूनिट में 0.01 एस्ट्रोनॉमिकल यूनिट कह सकते हैं। यह पृथ्वी से सूरज की दूरी का केवल 1% है।
The vantage point for observing sun is a place in between the sun and earth where direct visibility exists to the sun while continuous communication link exists with the earth. These observations will generate a forewarning about disturbances in near Earth space environment which could pose danger to the communication systems and spacecrafts. Various thermal and magnetic phenomena on the sun are of extreme nature which cannot be replicated in labs. The best way is to observe the sun up close. The distance between the Earth and Sun is approximately 150 million kilometers. At the central region of the Sun, known as core, the temperature can reach as high as 15 million degrees Celsius. Power source for the Sun is nuclear fusion of hydrogen atoms that takes place in the core. The visible surface of Sun is relatively cool and has a temperature of about 5,500 degrees Celsius. The Aditya L1 spacecraft is planned to be placed in a halo orbit around the Lagrangian point
Vehicle
1
performance
or
normal.
L1 of the Sun-Earth system, which is about 1.5 million kilometers from Earth, roughly 1% of the distance to Sun. A halo orbit is a periodic three-dimensional orbit near the Lagrange point in the three-body problem of orbital mechanism. The object in this orbit stays in place by the gravity of Earth and Sun. It requires little energy for station keeping. Several probes have been placed in space to observe the Sun by various space agencies. Lagrange's point L1 is a great location for solar explorers such as Aditya L1, as it allows for an unobstructed view of the Sun that is never eclipsed by Earth. At L1, Aditya L1 will join spacecraft such as ESA NASA's Solar Heliospheric Observatory or SOHO, which has been at L1 since 1996.
लैग्रांज पॉइंट एक ऐसी जगह है अंतरिक्ष में जहां अगर कोई चीज पहुंचती है तो वह वहीं बनी रहती है, क्योंकि लैग्रांज पॉइंट पर दो बड़े द्रव्यमानों का गुरुत्वाकर्षण खिंचाव बराबर हो जाता है। और इसमें एक अभिकेंद्रीय बल है कि जो कि पिंड को दोनों द्रव्यमान के साथ बनाए रखता है। ऐसे 5 लैग्रेंजियन पॉइंट्स होते हैं पृथ्वी और सूर्य के बीच। इन पॉइंट्स में अंतरिक्ष यान को भेजकर कम से कम ईंधन की खपत पर या उस स्थान पर अंतरिक्ष प्रयोगों को अध्ययन के लिए बनाए रखा जा सकता है। आदित्य L1 उपग्रह को भी ऐसे ही लैग्रेंज पॉइंट 1 पर स्थापित किया जा रहा है। अंतरिक्ष यान को यहां तक पहुंचने में 125 दिन का समय लगेगा। इस लैग्रेंजियन पॉइंट्स के कुछ फायदे होते हैं, जैसे हम यहाँ आदित्य L1 के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं तो यह अंतरिक्ष यान लैग्रेंजियन पॉइंट 1 के पास जाएगा और यह ऐसा पॉइंट है जहां से सूर्य को बिना किसी ग्रहण या रुकावट के निरंतर देखा जा सकेगा और अध्ययन किया जा सकेगा। दूसरा फायदा यह कि विभिन्न मापन या विश्लेषणों के लिए किसी भी तरह की रुकावट या कमी नहीं आएगी। वायु न होने की वजह से इससे दूर तक स्पष्ट देखा जा सकेगा। लैग्रेंज पॉइंट पर इस वेधशाला को रखने का मुख्य कारण यह भी है कि यहाँ उपग्रह लगभग स्थिर रहेगा और उपग्रह के अभिवृत्ति नियंत्रण के लिए अधिक ईंधन की आवश्यकता नहीं होगी। वर्तमान में PS4 चरण का कोस्टिंग फेज जारी है। अब यान की ऊंचाई 280 किलोमीटर तथा सापेक्ष गति 7.18 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड है। अब यह उचित अभिवृत्ति प्राप्त कर पुनः प्रज्वलित किया जाएगा।
Vehicle performance normal.
The Aditya L1 spacecraft carries 7 payloads to observe the protosphere, chromosphere, and corona, which is the outermost layer of the Sun. These payloads use electromagnetic, particle, and magnetic field detectors. First among the 4 remote sensing payloads is Visible Emission Line Chronograph (VELC), which is a prime payload designed as a reflective coronagraph with a multi-slit spectrograph. This payload is developed jointly by Indian Institute of Astrophysics, Laboratory of Electro-Optical Systems, UR Rao Satellite Center, ISRO Inertial Systems Unit, and Space Applications Center. The second payload is Solar Low Energy X-ray Spectrometer, or SOLEX, designed to measure the solar soft X-ray flux to study solar flares. This payload is developed by UR Rao Satellite Center. Third payload is the Solar Earth Ultraviolet Imaging Telescope SUIT, which is a UV telescope to image the solar disk in the near ultraviolet wavelength range. The payload is developed by Inter-University Center for Astronomy and Astrophysics, Pune, LEOS, URSE, and IISU. The fourth payload is High Energy L1 Orbiting X-ray Spectrometer, or HELIOS, developed by URSE. Is a hard X-ray spectrometer designed to study solar flares in high energy X-rays. The fifth payload is the one which is meant for in situ observations. This is Aditya Solar Wind Particle Experiment, or otherwise called as ASPEX, which comprises of spectrometers to measure low energy particles and high energy ions. This payload is developed by Physical Research Laboratory. The sixth payload is Plasma Analyzer Package for Aditya, in short PAPA. It is designed to understand the solar winds and its composition and perform mass analysis of solar winds. This payload is developed by Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. The seventh payload is a magnetometer, or MAG, developed by LEOS, which will measure the low intensity interplanetary magnetic field in space using a pair of magnetic sensors.
जी हाँ, आदित्य L1 उपग्रह में नित भार के बारे में जानते हुए इसमें सुदूर संवेदन नितभार हैं और यथास्थिति प्रेक्षण नितभार लगे हुए हैं। सुदूर संवेदन नितभार में सूर्य का प्रेक्षण करने के लिए
plus
VELC
20 minutes.
कोरोना प्रतिबिंबन और वर्णक्रम मापन के लिए है। सोलर अल्ट्रावायलेट इमेजिंग टेलीस्कोप जो कि संकीर्ण और ब्रॉडबैंड फ्रीक्वेंसी में फोटोस्फीयर और क्रोमोस्फीयर प्रतिबिंबन यह पैराबैंगनी प्रतिबिंबन टेलीस्कोप है। इसी क्रम में अगला है SOLEX सोलर लो एनर्जी एक्सरे स्पेक्ट्रोमीटर जो कि सॉफ्ट एक्सरे वर्णक्रम मापी है जो कि सूर्य के प्रेक्षण के लिए प्रयोग किया जाएगा। इसमें HEL1OX हाई एनर्जी L1 ऑर्बिटिंग एक्सरे स्पेक्ट्रोमीटर है जो कि हार्ड एक्सरे वर्णक्रम मापी है। इसकी अभिकल्पना सोलर फ्लेयर के अध्ययन के लिए की गई है। यथास्थिति नितभार में आदित्य सोलर विंड पार्टिकल एक्सपेरिमेंट, इसका उद्देश्य है सोलर पवन सौर पवन में भारी आयंस, प्रोटॉन्स और अल्फा पार्टिकल का विश्लेषण करना। अगला है प्लाज्मा एनालाइजर पैकेज फॉर आदित्य। यह भी सौर पवन में उपस्थित कणों में इलेक्ट्रॉन और भारी आयंस की दिशा के साथ विश्लेषण करने के लिए इसे बनाया गया है। एडवांस ट्राइएक्सियल हाई रेजोल्यूशन डिजिटल मैग्नेटोमीटर, इसे त्रिअक्षीय चुंबकीय क्षेत्र के यथास्थिति मापन करने के लिए बनाया गया है और ऐसे 2 समुच्चय लगे हुए हैं इस उपग्रह में।
Vehicle performance normal.
यान पूरी तरह सामान्य, सभी तंत्र सामान्य रूप से कार्य कर रहे हैं और यान अपनी उद्देश्य कक्षा की ओर बढ़ रहा है। आदित्य L1 के नितभार इसरो व अन्य वैज्ञानिक संस्थानों के साथ मिलकर तैयार किए गए हैं। विजिबल एमिशन लाइन क्रोनोग्राफ VELC इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ एस्ट्रोफिजिक्स बेंगलुरु द्वारा तैयार किया गया है। सोलर अल्ट्रावायलेट इमेजिंग टेलीस्कोप सूट इंटर यूनिवर्सिटी सेंटर फॉर एस्ट्रोनॉमी एंड एस्ट्रोफिजिक्स पुणे द्वारा निर्मित है। सोलेक्स और हेलियोस दोनों ही URO सैटेलाइट सेंटर बेंगलुरु द्वारा निर्मित किए गए हैं। ASPX और PAPA स्पेस फिजिक्स लेबोरेटरी VSSC तिरुवनंतपुरम द्वारा निर्मित किए गए हैं। और अंत में मैग्नेटोमीटर लेबोरेटरी फॉर इलेक्ट्रो ऑप्टिक्स सिस्टम्स बेंगलुरु द्वारा निर्मित किया गया है। यह कोस्ट फेज जारी रहने वाला है। आइए इस अंतराल में आपको लिए चलते हैं इस मिशन से जुड़ी चर्चा में, जहां वरिष्ठ वैज्ञानिक हमारे प्रश्नों के उत्तर देंगे और फिर इस चर्चा के बाद हम वापस आएंगे लाइव इवेंट्स में।
As we are in the low visibility region of the flight path, we take you to the discussion room where the key personnel connected with the Aditya L1 will enlighten more on the payloads and details. Over to discussion room.
Welcome viewers. After India has made history with the Chandrayaan-3 moon launch, it has now set its eyes on the sun. These scientific breakthroughs back to back are like feathers on our country's hats.
Range operation director.
In fact, these celestial bodies are very important and are considered as sacred bodies in multiple global religions. The sun is the central body of our solar system. The world revolves around it, and it is a source of energy for all planets, including the Earth. Today, I'm joined by all the scientists who have played behind the scenes to make this project a grand success. And I'm Srinidhi, reaching out to you from the Satish Dhawan Space Center, Sriharikota. And today we'll be discussing about the impact and the benefits of the Aditya L1 space mission. So today we are joined by Dr. Anil Bharadwaj, Director of PRL, Professor Annapurni Subramanian, Director of Indian Institute of Astrophysics, Dr. Sankara Subramanian, Principal Scientist of Aditya L1 Mission, Dr. Durgesh Tripathi, PI of SUIT, Dr. Dipankar Banerjee, Director of IRIS, Nainital.
Dr. Srimati Kesan, founder and CEO of Space Kids India, and my colleague Pallav Bagla with me in the studio. Dr. Kesan, a huge mission, a lot of excitement with this as well. We're still fully trying to analyze this mission and see if the Aditya mission is headed in the right direction, if all of the parameters have been met. We'll get more detail on that in a little while. But are you very enthused by this and what this promises as a science project?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a scientific marvel, I should say. In fact, we have landed on the moon. The mission to moon is a critical one. But according to me, I would rate that going to the sun is even more critical. You know, the analysis, the mathematics behind, reaching 1.5 million kilometers is, I think, absolutely brilliant that our scientists have put through, because the structures, we know how, being on Earth, we find it so difficult. Year on year, the temperature is rising. And to go 1.5 kilometers close to the sun, it is going to be absolutely critical. And the components that we have used, the material science plays a very, very important role here. So the structures that we have designed to actually keep up to the temperatures and radiation, I think it's a marvel, scientific marvel, I should say.
It is indeed a scientific marvel. Pallav, telemetry is important now. Where is this being tracked presently?
Oh, right now, see, people should not feel that the mission is accomplished. The mission is still on. It's a 63-minute mission. Right now, the rocket is not visible, so it's still performing its task in a coasting phase, which is why ISRO and all of us have gone down to some discussions. The rocket is continuing to do its performance. At 12:53 is when the satellite separates from the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle and gets into its own orbit. So there is an ongoing mission. It is still not over. So the launch was successful so far. The mission has gone off very well, but it's in the coasting phase, which is a quiet phase. And then ultimately they will get back to the stage where it will be reignited, and then finally the separation. So it's a very important mission, like Dr. Kesan was saying. It's India's first space-based solar observatory, very important for the world, very important for India. And so far, the launch has been very good. The stages of the rocket have performed as they had been designed. The Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle is a workhorse rocket of India, and on this 59th mission, it has done so far so good.
It has indeed. So, Pallav, what are the next goals as far as the timeline that you were looking at right now is concerned, as far as the rocket is concerned?
See, the rocket is still in a coasting phase, so that means there is no thrust being given to the rocket. It is still flying in space, and then it will be reignited, and then the separation happens, and then there would be a passivation phase of the last stage. So 12:53 is the big moment, and then we have to wait and watch whether it gets a very accurate orbit, the precise orbit which ISRO is targeting. PSLV is well known for giving very well known for giving correct, precise orbits. If it gets a precise orbit, it has enough fuel and it can last a long time. Right now, the Aditya L1 mission is expected to last 5 years, but if there is enough fuel on board, it can last a lot longer. This is India's second observatory in space. We had AstroSat, which has lasted so much longer than its designed life. And that is what is expected of Aditya L1.
And if it's not in the ideal orbit, it can be made, it can be adjusted to the ideal orbit, but that means extra consumption of fuel on board.
Oh, that's right. There is a lot of, the liquid propulsion engine on the satellite will do a lot of work when it's being pushed from the Earth towards the sun, and then it has to work for almost 4 months, because it's not a, once it's put in the Earth orbit, the mission is not over. Beyond that, it reaches the halo orbit at L1 only 4 months later. So that's a long time, and the whole propulsion system needs to work. And if you have a correct orbit insertion on Earth, then you save so much more fuel on satellite, which increases the life of the scientific robotic satellite, which is Aditya L1.
Pallav, just in terms of what we saw a few moments back, and now we've got, scientists and astronomers tweeting about it. PSLV's stage 3 looks to have aimed a tad high. In other words, it was just a little higher compared to the plot of where the ideal situation should have been. But there's something called a tolerance level, right? It needs to be within a certain tolerance threshold. So that's something we need to keep our eye out for. It just appears to be slightly above its ideal chosen path.
That's correct. The plot was a little higher, but that's a coasting phase, and hopefully the closed loop guidance system will bring it where it's supposed to be. And continuously from the mission control room, we kept hearing that all stages performing normal, mission going normal. So one should not be unduly worried about that. I'm sure the onboard computers will correct whatever deviation has happened, if it has happened, but it could also be telemetry issues, because there are areas where there is a blind spot, and if that is the case, then it's a telemetry issue. But also there are corrections which can happen, and Dr. Kesan's team works a lot on some of this, and they have very young people doing some of the nice satellites, and also finally looking at some rockets also. So she may have some more insight on this.
Do you have any insight on this? Because it seems that while the PS4 liquid fourth stage, we don't know what the status there is, because it's out of telemetry range right now. We're presuming that it's functioning all right. But the third stage looks to have aimed a tad high. I mean, that's what some scientists and astronomers are saying.
Yeah, generally, slight deviation also perturbs, during a launch. We feel that probably this will go out of the trajectory. But I think, it is not a huge deviation as far as what we've been reading as of now, what we've been getting data. So I think this will be automatically adjusted. So I don't think, we should be really perturbed about this whole thing.
Okay. All right. We'll come back to all of you in just a few moments. We need to take a short break, but Aditya has, the mission is well underway now. The PSLV rocket has blasted off. We'll continue to track all the details. We do expect statements from ISRO as well in the next little while. For now, this short break.